Hey everyone, and welcome to the Infinite Respawn podcast. I'm Chicken.
I'm Oak Tree.
Grif, Baka's at the circus. I'm not kidding. He's
Yeah, we
actually
we
at a
sent him
circus
off because
today.
we were just tired of him, so we
No,
we
You
that's
had to
sure
not
he's
find
not?
some
true.
place for him to go.
We found him a part-time job as a clown. So
That's not. Y'all are being mean. But no, he really is at a circus, though.
I
I
don't
didn't
hear
even
him.
know.
I don't hear him debating it.
He's not here. You just made me punch my mic. He's not here.
That's right. I walked in there and I moved her hand to punch the mic.
yes,
You
He's
just
so
didn't
mean.
see me.
I drove across town.
You guys are jerks. What do you
Banged on the
want?
wall and scared her. God.
Thanks, I hate it.
Thanks, I hate it.
Oh,
Where do you guys want to
goodness.
start with the news today? Chicken, pick your favorite because you're gonna zone out in like 10 minutes.
I'm going straight away because I have finally gotten fucking confirmation of what I have been preaching for years
He
at
feels
this
so
point.
justified.
Finally,
Vindicated.
finally, THQ Nordic had their thing, and I'm glad that it was on Friday so that we could talk about it right away. Finally, THQ Nordic had their announcement thing. I think it's like they were announcing their final set of games that they did because they've done a bunch of cancellations. They've had a lot of problems. We've talked about it a lot. But they finally have announced, and all you got was a teaser, that there is a new Darksiders game in production. That's right, people. Finally, a new Darksiders game. I'm hoping Strife gets his game. Okay, make it like Bayonetta, Devil May Cry, something like that with gun mechanics.
Okay.
Come on. That's what we need. We need Strife's game, and, my heart, I understand that we may not get a fifth game with all four horsemen, but if we at least get Strife's game, we'll have all four. At least we'll have the story with all four, but we need that fourth game for Strife.
They did. At least they confirmed it was because it's just a teaser. At least they confirmed it is a new game and not a remake of a game, which I would have been fine with a remake and like just start over with the remakes and then go.
The community is kind of, they're hoping for a new game, but there is this slight trepidation because of the way it was worded. The horseman rides again. It's
Yeah.
like, are we
Be ready to ride again or something?
Yeah,
like
be
that,
ready
I
to
think.
ride again. And are we remaking again? Are we gonna remake the first one? It's like, just give me Strife's game. I need it.
Oh, be prepared to ride again. That
Yeah,
was
be
the
prepared to
actual
ride
wording.
again. Like you gotta let me have Strife's game, and then I think it was somebody was talking on the forums about how if they did do a fifth game, it has to be a fifth game. People make Strife's game. Do not do all four in the fourth game. Okay. If they did, you could do it like they did Devil May Cry 5, I think it is, where you play through the whole game as four different characters. Like it takes place, like it basically splits the story. You play as like one character through a part of the story, and then the second character for part of the story, third character, fourth character, and then all of them come together at the end to play the finale. Which, if you wanted to do a single player game like that, that's fine. It doesn't have to be co-op. Ideally, it would be co-op. But if not, like being able to kind of tell the bits of the story as the four riders do their part of the mission, and then you get to the end where all four of them work together. Like, yes, come on. We've been waiting for this for like a long time. It'll probably be 20 years from the first release to when we get if we get a fifth game. And
I feel like if they did all four of them, you could set it up to where the plot line is going to follow each one of them individually. But if you did a co-op version of it, everybody just gets the same cinematic in between, but the game just gets harder each person that you add in between. And one of you would have to, like, let's say you were just playing with two of you. One of you would have to play as the character that's following that particular plot line at the time.
Oh yeah,
And then somebody
100%.
could play whatever they wanted to at the end of it. But that would be great.
Yeah,
I'm interested to see this Strife for sure.
And Gunfire Games is the one who's done all of them beforehand. Well, I guess they've been working on them. They redid the definitive edition for Darksiders and the War Mastered edition for the first one. And they're the ones that made Darksiders 3. So they've got a lot of experience with it. They remastered the other two and made the third one. And they're working on this one. So you got faith. It's not just being handed off to somebody who doesn't know the series. You got somebody who has been working with the series for a while.
Right.
So if we get this one out, next year or the year after, that's 2026, and then you've got, I don't know, 4 years for the 20-year anniversary of the first Darksiders, you release the fifth game, and then, the Darksiders fandom will be done. We'll be happy. We're gonna wish we had more, but if you give us the full course,
That's it.
we'll call it, man. That's good. Like that'll be a great game series. Because all the games are good. If you haven't played them, play them.
Then you get the super definitive edition of all of them to get released at one time.
All 5 games. Call it
Yes.
the Darksiders Chief Collection.
Apocalyptic version.
Oh my goodness.
The Apocalypse Edition, where you have
Yes.
all 4 games together or all 5 games together.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Hell yeah, you could make some serious money off of that.
Mm-hmm. You really could.
And then you have a statue that comes with it that's all of them together.
Stop.
That
Chicken's
alone would
already
sell
like
it.
getting the checkbook out. Stop it.
That alone would sell it too. Like, the Darksiders series is really fun. It's good, well written. It kind of lets you learn each of the horse people, however you want to call it, because it's
Horse people.
the horsemen, the 4 horsemen. Good backstory on them. It kind of like nicely fleshes out the world. And I'm excited to see more. I'm afraid because a couple of the comments were, "Oh, well, it looked like they gave you such a basic teaser. It seems like they may have just started on it, so we won't see it for years." And it's like, brother, man, I've been waiting for so long. What's a couple more years? At least, we can take a breath now.
You're like, yeah, it is on the way. Yeah.
Yes. But yeah, enough gushing about that. Finally, I can excited. I've talked years about it.
He's so vindicated and waiting.
Oh, so good. So good. Trust me, everybody else in the community feeling the same way. If you like Darksiders, you're very excited about it.
Yes, a lot of the comments on that article were about it being Darksiders. Like the rest of it's like, oh, okay, Titan Quest 2 and Wreckfest
Titan Quest 2 is
things
good.
Like that.
Disney's Epic.
So the Epic Mickey, I'm glad they're finally releasing this out because a lot of people didn't get to play the original Epic Mickey. Because I want to say it was Wii only originally in 2010 when it was originally released. Now you're getting an option to be able to play through with just about everything in September, which is great. I hope that they release, and maybe they have, and I just didn't realize they did it, the sequel, other than because I think PlayStation 3 is what I played it on. I'm pretty sure it hasn't been released on anything else, but I hope that they release that too at some point.
No.
Because that is a great game to play. Like, it is a fantastic game. I don't hide the fact that our family are big Disney fans. So I never got to play the first one, so I'm excited about playing it. But I do know that compared to the second one, people don't care for it as much. But it does have a following that's there that people are going to want to watch it, and it, giving us a nice HD version of the game, updated version of the game is going to be neat. I'm not really sure about. I don't know that Wreckfest needed a sequel necessarily. It was a good game. It was fun. But I think it kind of stands on. I don't know that it was that popular to get a sequel, but
it might have a niche enough audience to kind of to make it up. And I guess as long as the production costs weren't too exorbitant, they could make a sequel.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I agree with that. And then the Gothic remake. I'm not. I'm gonna have to wait and see how that ends up when it gets released, because it looks. They're like, oh, we're giving you this updated version, and then they're like, we're gonna be able to do things that we've never been able to do before. If you listen to the trailer, then it's like, okay, but your graphics. I'm looking at your graphics, and this is a remake, not a remaster. And okay, I'm gonna have to wait on that one.
Interesting choice.
It looks like it's. Definitely being a remake. Depending on how big they make the world, they might have had to sacrifice the graphics so that it can run. AAA games, you got to make sacrifices to kind of make it run well, I guess. because it doesn't
Mhm.
look too bad to me. It is 100%. I agree. It looks dated.
Yes,
Because watching the trailer, it looks dated for 2024. Because it looks like it's a mid to early 2010s style.
it looks like it's
Um,
Unreal Engine 3 or early Unreal Engine 4 to me.
yes, 100%. But sometimes like we're playing 7 Days to Die, and that game looks dated. Like it does not feel like they have upgraded their graphics since they released the early access back in 2011. So, uh, like it's not always a downside, but the other parts of the game have to lift it up much higher than where the graphics sit.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, it looks okay. I'm getting kind of Elder Scrolls vibes from it,
It's
like
got a little bit
like
of that. I can see
Oblivion.
that. And I know the original Gothic did um, have a following to it, so
Mm-hmm.
we'll see.
Oh yeah. It has to with it seems like with THQ Nordic they tend to hit the community like wherever the game is set, their little niche community, they hit the community and they're hoping that the splash from that community kind of spreads out into the bigger area. It's kind of like
Oh, I need
Larian.
1 second. You guys go ahead. I just need a quick second.
Okay, it's like Larian when they build their game for them, and then it appeals to whoever. Where Ubisoft and things like that try to build a game that appeals to everybody.
Right.
So,
I think overall, like if they can, they've done a really good job of, in my opinion, taking games and we'll use Darksiders as an example because I feel like that was kind of a niche thing. Like there was a lot of us that loved the first games and enjoyed it, and then THQ died, and we all went, well, shit, now we're never getting these games again. They got bought, of course. You had THQ Q Nordic stuff. You got the remastered versions of the game, and then they came out with 3, and it had a different feel to it. Like, you know, that character just plays totally different. And then, like you said, I want Strife to play this way, and being able to get those to where they can combine those is going to be, I think, quite interesting. But I think that it created hype for games that people might not have knew existed before.
mm-hmm.
And so giving an option like this where, you know, an RPG style game like this is pretty popular nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be to where you know, create a little bit of a following that wasn't there before.
Oh yeah, for sure. The niche games in this day and age kind of like have grown quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So and people are fine with AA games a lot more. Other business, yeah, unannounced. Curse here. I don't know what this. Oh, Little Nightmares. Oh,
It's the Little Nightmares creator,
Oh,
developer.
okay.
But it's where I don't necessarily know if it's another one of their games or not. It's a mysterious game, is what they put it down to. It's a mysterious new game announcement. But if you look at the trailer, which is literally a pig that just walks up and is gutted,
Ew.
and then he goes, "They're coming," and then he walks off. It's like, okay, but it's like graphically and everything looks like it's part of the Little Nightmares world. So I think it's probably going to be a third game if I had to guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's but it says they were supposed to have more revealed at Gamescom, which is coming up.
Yeah, I'm
Soon,
hoping right here. Yeah, I think it's the end of the month, but I'm hoping right here that they show us a little bit more about Darksiders, so maybe it's not just being made, and they've actually got something working on. But I like Gunfire Games. They're a good company. They're the ones that made Remnant from Ashes and the second one that got some pretty good acclaim. They do.
We should get some dates from Gamescom as well. Like some of these ones like Dragon Age, stuff like that doesn't have an actual date other than fall of 2024 written down. We should start getting some actual dates narrowed down, and
You'll get a date of release the day before it's released. Oh yeah, by the way, it's coming out tomorrow. Do the Nintendo style. Oh yeah, we're releasing this game tomorrow. Oh, okay, cool.
Not a lot of companies do that anymore, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's a good thing, though. I saw, like, this is just an aside random thing, but I did see people freaking out because they're worried that that's what's going to happen with Dragon Age, is that it's going to be like, and the release date is 2 weeks from now. And everybody's like, but I need like 2 months in advance to get time off and everything. It's like, y'all, you're not going to get 2 months in advance, but you're probably going to get more than it's releasing tomorrow. Almost nobody does that. It's okay.
Maybe it's just because I'm old these days, but I don't see the appeal of like taking days off for a single player game.
I do.
I did that with Halo games.
I'm gonna be playing Silent Hill our first Monday free.
I still stand by my thing. Like with MMOs and things like that, I understand you want to be like in the big wave and just kind of moving through and kind of feeling the world be alive and kind of moving with everybody. But single player games, I mean, I get it. You just want to be left alone so that you can kind of sit down and enjoy it without anybody bothering you.
I think that's part of it. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, for me
like,
specifically, like with Silent Hill especially, like we have a kid now, and that's not a game that I can load up and play while he's like running around.
We have a lot of those games that you can't load up.
I know,
like, played up.
but that's the thing is like, I am glad that I am off that Monday because I can play for several hours without him running around, you know, being like, "What's that? What's that? What's you can't see that."
That's definitely got to be a mentality thing for me. Like if I sit down and I play a game for like more than 2 hours, I'm panicking because it's like, isn't there something else I'm supposed to be doing? How am I allowed more than 2 hours to sit down at a time these days?
Yeah, but that's why you do the take the day off kind of thing, because then you...
Again, mentality, it's like, oh, I'm taking a day off. I shouldn't have taken a day off. I should be doing something else that's actually more productive.
It is weird that you and I have swapped mentalities on that in the past several years.
Yeah.
You used to get after me all the time. You can't just work all the time. You can't always be doing something. Okay, fine. I'll chill out and just take some, you know, blocks of time for myself. And now you're the one that's like, yeah, I can't do that. I need to be doing something important and productive.
It's definitely had to have been having a child now. It's like he gets into my brain going, you should be doing something. It's like, I'm doing something. Something.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess my mentality is like, especially like all of us work for seasonal businesses. So it's one of those where we have an opportunity to spend that time during the fall and the winter time. Take that opportunity to be able to play a game, like in this case, a single player game that might take a long time to play. You can go through, play the game, and get a good notch taken out of it because you have that opportunity, like in her case, to be off on a Monday, right? And then be able to knock out a good portion of that, especially if it's a game that you already love and, you know, is being remade in that respect. But like back in the day, it used to be we would take off because midnight drops were a thing. So you would go to GameStop, you would pick up your new version of it, and then you would go home and you would play through Halo. Like in my case, it was Halo, and we would stay up for like 6 to 8 hours playing. You know, so it's early morning, you know, type deal. So it was an event, right?
Yeah,
versus what you get now, which is like, okay, you can go ahead and preload it, and if you pre-ordered it, you can go ahead and get it 3 days before everybody else does. Blah blah blah, all that crap that they do now. So
yeah,
it's a different atmosphere. But I mean, some of it too is that you know if you're on social media that like with the first 4 or 5 hours, things are going to start coming out as spoilers and whatnot. And people are just going to start posting, and some people want to sit down and be playing during that time, so they're not seeing the spoilers and not risking some of the early spoilers.
So you just don't use social media.
Don't definitely post spoilers. Don't be
definitely.
A dick.
They're always going to be.
I know.
Everybody's always going to be a dick. But the rule should be like if you don't want spoilers, social media blackout for the first at least week release of the game for you. If you don't want anything, because it doesn't matter. The internet will accidentally spoil you because people are assholes, and they're like it'll just pop up on your feed, and you're like, oh my god.
Especially like something like Reddit. Reddit will be like, oh, you normally look at this type of stuff, and
here it is. I know you haven't joined the community.
Let me go ahead and pop up a little thing for you on it.
How many spoilers did I get from Baldur's Gate 3 thanks to fucking Reddit, man? Like every so often there'd just be one that would be a picture or a title, and it's like, oh, thanks.
Yeah.
I didn't care to read that.
Definitely don't put spoilers in the titles, because on Reddit you can be like, hey, spoiler thing that I want to talk about, and then in the the actual body of it, you can white out the stuff that's spoilers.
Some of the moderators are good about that too. Don't put spoilers in the titles.
Yeah, some moderators are pretty solid with it. But yeah, usually the first week of a game release is dangerous on the internet. If you don't want any spoilers, you got to be very careful.
But again,
Problem-
that's why people take that time off so they can sit down and play the game instead of being on their phones at work or whatever, not playing it and seeing
Being on your
spoilers.
Okay, my bad. I thought you were supposed to work at work.
Well,
Being
you
on
know
your
what I
phone
mean, like
scrolling
during
Reddit at
breaks and
work.
stuff, you're at work and just checking your, Reddit or Facebook or whatever it is, social media wise that you do, and all of a sudden
Sometimes there is
is
downtime.
Yeah, definitely
I
downtime.
mean, people generally, if you're working, you have 15-minute breaks or lunch breaks.
Let me go
There's
find some
time for you to
spoilers.
use the phone.
Spoiler breaks is what we call them now.
If there's something coming out that you want to play, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what it is.
Pretty much, it's like
Avoid the spoiler
Yeah.
breaks if you're bold enough.
you gotta like look at your social media with one eye closed and just kind of like scroll and look away. See if you can find. Okay, that looks nice. Oh, god damn it.
Cats, jobs, animals with jobs. There's the no, spoilers.
Oh god.
Take me back to the
Anyway.
wholesome posts.
To get back on track for THQ Nordic, but a lot of the games look pretty good. But to transition to our next article, THQ does a lot of AA games, and that's kind of where they filled their niche into the gaming market these days. Is the AA games. Blizzard has reportedly set up a smaller team to create AA games based on its franchises, which I think will do nothing but help it.
Slow down. You saw what a majority of the employees are going to be from, though, right?
Yes, King
'Cause-
developer.
Yeah. So the mobile people who make really, microtransaction-y, please be addicted to this game so you spend all of your money kind of games, that's who they're gonna have.
You don't get that
Yeah.
option in AA games. You don't make shit games to make a lot of money off of. That's the thing about AA games. THQ Nordic does not go, we making billions off of these. No. You don't make billions. You'll be lucky to make your money back with AA games.
Well, I have serious concerns considering it's Blizzard, and Blizzard as of late has not been great for a long time.
Why do you say that?
So,
Well, no. After the Microsoft acquisition, I'm curious.
well, I'm interested to see how it goes, but I also
Yeah.
know that just beforehand and things, they were kind of starting to really jump on that microtransaction. How can we make a bunch of extra money off of our our cash cows, basically, and
I find it interesting that they are trying to get King involved in it.
Well, I
They
mean, I'm
stated
sure
that
they
they
have
wanted
a
to
lot
get
of
Tango.
people.
They wanted to
Go
get Tango involved as well, but because of where the two studios were located at, it didn't make logistical sense to do so. So they eliminated the one that was the furthest, I guess. But I'm looking through. This is from King.com. Just so we're aware of all of the games that King has made. Okay, I want to make everybody aware.
All right.
There's Candy Crush.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, that's Candy Crush Saga. Just so everybody knows. There's Candy Crush Soda. Okay. There's Candy Crush Jelly.
are
There's
these all Candy Crush
Friends. Candy Crush Friends. The good thing is they do have variety. Okay.
titles? Oh,
we got-
please.
Farm Heroes Saga. Pet Rescue Saga. I don't know why we have to have so many sagas. The
So that
Bubble
you can
Witch.
continuously be paying into
The
it.
Bubble Witch Saga, which does have a 1, 2, and 3, just so everybody's aware of that one. Then you have Diamond Diaries. And
Oh my god, it almost.
Yeah,
that-
I almost was like, it's what now?
I was like, what?
Yep,
Ooh,
Diamond
that's
Diaries
painful.
Saga, and then you have. Now I know where your head was at.
We're
Stop it.
toddlers.
Pyramid Solitaire Saga, and
You're
then
right,
they
they're
have
all sagas. Oh my god.
yes, and then they have Farm Heroes Super Saga. I'm just and Boston Blossom Blast Saga.
I hate it. But that's why, though, is because with Saga, they can continuously add on to it and add more things that you need to pay for.
Right.
Mhm. Yes. But it'll be interesting to see how they use those developers to make AA games based on their franchises. I mean, I'm not going to say that the skills are not translatable between, mobile games and AA games, but it will be interesting to see if they actually make AA standalone games that are just games versus junk.
Shovelware.
Junk. But it would be nice to see StarCraft come back. Actually, like StarCraft come back, or like a AA version of Overwatch. Like a side story. These little side games off of their main franchises. Maybe an RTS Warcraft game or something like that. Like not something you've got to put millions and millions of dollars into just to make it playable. Because as Steam has shown, AA games and early access is definitely where people can make a lot of money from. I stand by Pal World. That motherfucker came out like almost out of nowhere, made enough money to run for like the next 20 years, and can just all production costs are covered because your game got hyped so high.
I'm kind of leaning though the way that Grif was talking about with this, because they wanted to get Tango Games involved, right?
Mm-hmm.
They just came off the hype of Hi-Fi Rush.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they did have a mobile game called Hero Dice. It was not a saga, sorry.
They're out.
But then they had The Evil Within, The Evil Within 2, and then Ghostwire Tokyo. Actual narrative games that you could qualify as AA based on the way that they were designed and made and everything. But it's one of those where it's like you're going from mobile, like straight up, all you think of is mobile. And you have some of those people got laid off and did get absorbed into King, because they said that some of those people were going to have other jobs. And if they originally wanted them to be part of there, I'm going to say they probably moved them that direction. But to what degree?
Yeah. It's going to be interesting watching this part of the Blizzard saga, shall we call it, it develop over
Thanks,
the
I
years.
hate it. You know what she said earlier?
Yeah. Because Microsoft is trying to figure out a way to make Blizzard appeal back to its audience, because everybody that was a Blizzard fan is just kind of like, exactly.
What is the name of the game that they had that Baka mentions every once in a while that was like one of the first games that Blizzard had?
Oh, the Vikings one?
Yeah.
The Lost Vikings.
Yeah.
The Lost Vikings. Do you think that's where they're going? Like, because that's kind of cartoonish, right? I mean, you could make it that way.
I mean, is it? I don't know. It just seems a weird choice.
What, to go back with
well,
Lost Vikings?
No, to have your mobile developer doing your AAA titles.
AA titles.
Double A. Sorry, my bad. AA. I'm so used to. Maybe I just thought Ubisoft
I mean,
was moving
your head's already
into
to quadruple A,
yeah.
and so you're dropping down to triple A. We get it. We get it. We understand what you're
saying.
It is interesting to see them move their mobile developers to actual actual games.
Well, let's be real. With Kings, they're what we used to have is like browser games. They just put it on your phone as mobile games. Yes. So it's not the same thing that you think of when you're like, oh, you know what, I have no idea what I'm gonna play. I'll just maybe it's like Mass Effect A, or maybe I'll play some Doom, or maybe I'll play some Candy Crush. Like, that's not really the same flavor when you think about how those kinds of games are and what echelon you'd put them in. So yeah.
My thing for mobile games is that they tend to be categorized into an exploitative category, because that's kind of like, there are some mobile games that are like actual games, but in my sense and the history of all the mobile market, it tends to lean heavily skewed towards exploitative games and making money. It's not about actual gameplay.
Out of curiosity, I just like Googled famous AA games just to see what would pop up. And I'm thinking to myself, would a mobile game company be able to make said one of these games? Okay. So you got to say yes or no based on the ones I'm going to list.
All right, go for it.
All right, number one on the list.
If any of them are Saga, I'm going to just quit the podcast.
No, not one has Saga.
Okay.
No, you're good to go. Number one that's on here is PUBG.
I mean, I understand that does have a large mobile following.
Yeah.
I get it.
Okay, but the original version of it was not.
No.
It had to be transferred over.
I could definitely see a mobile game making that kind of game because it was so goddamn basic. Like,
Okay,
the whole entire thing.
keep in mind, all of the Candy Crush Saga stuff that they have are pretty much similar games.
Yeah, I know.
Same.
Okay.
But I
Okay.
mean, this dumbass could go into the Unreal Engine and make a guy run around. That's about all that game was just picking up loot and shooting other people.
That's
there was
fair.
No
That's fair.
complex gameplay to it.
All right. Number 2, very similar game, DayZ.
Okay. I mean, you're right.
To an
they're
extent,
similar.
the systems in the backside of that game are probably a little complicated for a mobile game
Is
because there's a
Escape
lot
from
of back
Tarkov
ends.
number 3? Because I feel like there's a
Ooh.
trend in
No.
this list. Okay, I was
Okay.
just checking.
DayZ, I will definitely say it'll probably be a little harder for them because, like I said, there's a lot of more systems in that game than.
Okay, I could agree with that. Number 3, Atomic Heart. That is
I
the
haven't played
first.
that, so.
Yeah, that's the first-person shooter made by a Russian studio.
If I'm not
Looks a lot like
mistaken.
BioShock.
It's that one. Oh,
Yeah, that's.
That had the
that's why I
robot
haven't
ladies
played
that
it.
people were in love with. Yes.
Yeah, that robot lady scene. Yeah, I got you. With help they could, but again, that seems like a pretty high caliber AA game. I think they need help outside to make something like that.
Okay. Number 4 on the list is Greedfall. That's going to be the RPG.
I've
I
started
know
that
which
one,
one
but
that-
I haven't played it. But I also heard that it is very deep and rich as the story goes. I don't.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm sorry if we're basing what you're
Wow,
capable
it's on
of
sale
on
right
your
now.
previous. It's always on sale. Always.
It's for $7, 80% off.
It's always on sale. Always. But if we're basing what we think you're capable of on what you've done so far, you've done a swipe and match game series,
Mhm.
and that's literally what all of them are. I don't know that you are really ready for much more than that. I mean, go ahead.
Okay,
Try your hand at it. I'm just saying, if we're looking at here's my body of work, and then you're shopping it around Blizzard, nobody at Blizzard's like, yeah, I've played Candy Crush. I'm pretty sure they can make like this World of Warcraft offshoot story about Jaina's life. I'm sure it's fine.
I think the problem with it is like how much do the developers at the mobile game company actually know? Like, what's their skill level? Are they being used to like their maximum, or are they actually good developers that are being limited?
Well,
Yeah,
here's
I mean, that's part of
the
it.
thing. I think it's a combination of both. I think you could have very talented people that have gone to work for a company, but now they've specialized in a particular type of skill to where the other skills aren't being used as much. So therefore they got to be able to progress back to where they were.
Yes.
But because technology has progressed as well since the last time they used it, it's a possibility there's a learning curve there that would have to be addressed.
I think Greedfall would be up towards that higher part of the curve where they would have to like get back to. DayZ would probably be towards the lower end. PUBG would be down towards the bottom end. I feel like that would be an easy transition.
But I have a feeling that's
and
part of
it's slowly creeping up to where like Greedfall, you're gonna have to do a lot of relearning and retraining to get these people back up to the caliber where they can handle games like that.
The next game on the list, I'm interested to see the reaction on this one, is Lies of P.
Yeah, they ain't ready for that.
No.
Can you imagine
That
though?
would-
You take the color scheme of Candy Crush and apply it to a game like Lies of P. What that looks like?
Oh my god!
You're like in
I'd be
Candyland
blind.
on cocaine, you know?
Maybe that's
that
what
one-
it is. They do one that's like a death candy land.
Oh my god! But I mean, I might actually be interested in that.
that would be a
it's
hell of a
Candyland, but it's like a
game.
dark version of Candyland.
They did it with
It's
Alice
like the
in
old Alice
Wonderland.
games.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I might actually be interested.
Yep.
Yeah,
Let's-
definitely. That one is way out of their wheelhouse. That game was a lot. It was very good. I enjoyed the out of it. But it definitely, you would have to go back, spend like the next 6 months relearning all of what you knew or refreshing yourself before you could kind of get into that.
I think realistically, and this is just, again, this is me being... I don't know anything about the actual production side of the game industry. Let me be clear about that. And everything that I do know, I've probably heard from Ollie, so thanks. He's very educational. But if you're looking at Blizzard franchises that you could possibly let them start trying their hand at to make spin-off properties, I think you start with Overwatch, because that's got a more
its own engine and
friendly.
everything.
Yeah, it's got its own engine. It's more cartoon friendly. I think you can get away with it. I do wonder what that means, because they like to retcon a lot with Overwatch. And the character stories and everything, but if you start making subset games about them, do you solidify the lore? Like,
I feel like you do, and right now Overwatch is, I mean, it's a dying game essentially. I mean, you still got people that play the game. Don't get me wrong, but
it's not as popular as it was.
That's
it's
why
not
they're
as popular
bringing
when they
back
make the changes.
6v6, or that's why they're going to try to bring back 6v6 to tap back into that community.
I think that I think it would be interesting to have an actual some type of game based on that. Even if they decided that they were going to go, okay, you know what, we're going to create these characters that are here, and we're going to figure out a way to create a Baldur's Gate 3 style of a game, you know, like do an actual CRPG and go in and do it. Like, at least it's something. And I actually could see, I'm sure the learning curve is still quite high, because you got to have people that can write story and do things the right way, which but I think it would be, because the game pacing wouldn't be as quick. I could see them doing more of a CRPG than I could them doing something like Lies of P or Greedfall or one of those. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I think with some of those properties, especially something like Overwatch, I don't know if your fans would really follow it as well if you weren't getting similar game mechanics, though. Like,
maybe.
I mean,
maybe,
it'd be neat to see the story, but if you're playing Soldier 76 and his backstory, you want to get the shooter aspect of Soldier 76. You don't want it to be a turn-based, you know, stop and do a thing.
That is a great discussion, because as I'm watching League, Riot Games has dabbled in that exact scenario where they have taken their MOBA style games and taken characters and put the lore and characters into entirely different style games. They've done 2D side scroller style games that have turned out absolutely incredible. They've got a Smash Fighters or Smash Brothers style game that they're coming out with too. Like, they are taking their lore and kind of putting it in different genres and seeing how it works and whatnot. Like, it can work if it's done well enough, because there are different mediums to tell lore through, and you know, you're tapping into different parts of your audience, or growing your community, because some people, Grif, do not like MOBAs. But if you give her a shooter, she's gonna be like, cool, let me try this, and she gets to play with the characters that she likes out of the lore. And so she will be like back into it and be like, okay, cool, this is fun. I like
or
this.
even
I just can't play
maybe
League.
even a character you don't know if you like, just because you're not getting enough lore from. They make a game around that person. Now you actually do care for that person based on good storytelling, whatever it is. Or maybe you hate them more than you ever thought you did hate them, based on the storytelling and everything that goes along with it. You know?
The same thing with Arcane. They moved it from a game to an anime, and boom.
Well, I mean, I feel like
market.
that's different, though. Like, if you're taking it to another, like,
medium,
if you're taking it to another medium altogether, then that's definitely different, because you have people that don't play games at all that will readily watch the show, because it doesn't matter, you know, whether or not they're proficient at it. Me personally, if you were like, hey, we're gonna give you the backstory of Soldier 76 and Reaper and let them be in the Overwatch world, you know, back when they were Jack Morrison and Gabriel Reyes, but it's a turn-based CRPG, I'd be like, I don't really want that, thank you. Just because that's not, I don't think that a stop and shoot would be as fulfilling for me. It would turn it into something like XCOM, and I don't care for that kind of gameplay. But I like those.
That would, like, I'm thinking about it bigger and whatnot. Like, that could actually fit into the Overwatch program style back in the day, where you pick your crew out of the Overwatch characters and then you send them off on a mission.
An XCOM-ish game. I don't know what that's actually called. Like, I don't know what that genre is.
It's strategic, isn't it?
Strategic style.
It's a strategy something or another, but
yeah.
But I
I don't
know
know.
that that's a genre that exists already. It just doesn't appeal to me personally.
Because even the Mario Rabbids game is
Yeah.
that same style.
That's part of why I didn't. I played it for a minute.
It's a turn-based strategy game.
Yeah, you turn based. It is. It's just a regular turn based. Okay.
Yeah, it's turn-based. Well, technically, it's a turn-based strategy squad game.
It does. I
know,
guess
it's very
doing something
complicated.
like that does open your game, whatever your genre is, up to other types of gameplay. So it might hit markets that are not already being hit. I guess it's not the worst thing that you could try.
I
Maybe
just
that's
couldn't
what they're
see him
planning to
doing.
do.
I mean, I couldn't. Other than the color scheme, I could not see people from Candy Crush doing the Hi-Fi Rush. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which would have been the you're dealing with Tango before, so it's like
Tango would have been, if I was Microsoft and they were like, all right, look, you want to do AAA games and you got to pick one of these studios, I would have been like, don't close Tango. You want that. I know you want that. Look at what else they've done. I mean, Evil Within, that was a good franchise. It got 2 games, and it wasn't like, horror games are never the biggest game on the market. They just aren't. But that had its audience and did really well, and they know how to tell a story, and they know how to do something fun. They've obviously got range. I would have gone with that over how many games can we put Saga at the end of and make it $1 million franchise because people can't stop spending their credit card money.
billions of dollars.
Whatever.
Yes.
Billions of dollars. One of the games on the list too. I'm going to throw out some quick ones here, real quick. Hellblade: The Sinuous Sacrifice.
Yeah.
Gameplay wise, not a whole lot to the gameplay. I'll be honest with you. It's more of a story based game, but graphically, going from little mobile game to go into
that would be on Blizzard's part of being able to get those people the right engine and to teach them how to use that engine.
Yeah, because Sinuous Sacrifice looks like the gameplay looks like the cinematic trailers that they released for WoW.
Yeah,
like it is gorgeous fucking game. Just both.
They have a lot of work to get to that point, and like graphics and gameplay, or graphics and story. Those are the 2 biggest pieces in that game, and they would need a mobile game company would need a lot of help getting those 2 pieces.
Yep.
I know it's just 2 pieces, of the game, but those are like the heavy parts of the game. Because again, like we've talked about, gameplay not there, but the other parts elevate it. Like with Gothic, graphics may not be there, but if gameplay is good enough, it can elevate it. It's just how you balance your game and how you want it to turn out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Couple of notable ones as well for AA are going to be Helldivers 2 is considered AA. Very popular multiplayer. Again, I can't see him doing something similar to that.
No, there's a lot of systems in that game.
Yep. A Plague's Tale, that whole series right now, like, is just fantastic. They're about to do the third one's probably going to be out in the next 2 years, 3 years. First 2 games were fantastic. I can't see them doing a style game like that because it's kind of a stealth style game. You're going from.
They would definitely need help, but I think something along the lines where it's simpler gameplay and not heavy mechanics. But they would need a lot of help with like developing that kind of game
and writing a story.
Yeah, again, the story. If a game has a good story, you're gonna need good writers.
I think that's
you have to bring
things...
somebody in because there's no way you're getting mobile game developers to write a good story.
One of the hard asks of making spin-off franchises of existing or spin-off properties from existing franchises for Blizzard is that if you want to appeal to the audience that made those franchises popular, you have to write a good story because that's what made them popular.
Damn good story.
So I mean, well, I say that Overwatch not so much on the story, that was more of a gameplay thing, but things like your StarCraft and your WoW, like the gameplay and the story, Chicken is right, those 2 were very important aspects of both of those. And I think that it's possible, but I mean, you're asking a group of mobile devs to do some very heavy lifting, I feel like.
They need a lot of help.
The only game on this list that I've seen so far that I could see them possibly doing a style of, but again, it goes back to hiring the writers in place to be able to create the story and create the timeline that you need, would be a series similar to Life is Strange.
Yeah, I can see that. Just don't do an episodic release for like 6 months in between games and stuff. That's dumb. Stop that. Never do that. That's dumb.
Right.
I can see
Yep.
that though, but I don't know. I feel like we're setting the bar, and we're like, this is what AAA games we would expect because it's Blizzard, and they're gonna, whatever. And I feel like the first one that gets announced is gonna be like a Diablo Immortals kind of spinoff.
How?
Like,
Diablo Immortal is the spinoff.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, it'll be like something smaller.
God, I hope not. I hope that they don't do something like that. Like,
Guess we'll see.
we want to do AA games. By the way, all AA games now are on mobile only. That's all you get.
Don't you people have phones?
By the way, they're also releasing Candy Crush 2 Saga 2.
Is it Saga? Is it in Saga? Just continuation line? What the fuck?
Doesn't matter for them. There's as many sagas as they can put in there.
Oh God! Stop! It needs to stop. All right.
So other news this week, because we did spend a lot of time on that one. It was fun though.
That was a weird one.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
Destiny's developer Bungie has laid off 220 people from their staff, and which is roughly 17% of the workforce. But there's another 155 that are joining Sony, and moving over there. So it's roughly about 40% of all their staff is now gone.
Sony bought them, and all of a sudden they're downsizing.
Who called this?
I know, it's like almost like people talked about this and said this was a strong possibility.
Let's not forget though that in February Sony laid off a bunch of people too. So
Do you think they did this to make room? Like they laid people off to make room?
They fired a bunch of people, and then they're like, we're going to move these people from Bungie over here, but they're going to take a pay cut to do it. So we saved ourselves a whole bunch of money. Yay. I mean, I don't know that they're taking pay cuts. That's not part of the article. I'm just saying, would any of us be surprised if that was a cost-cutting measure?
No.
Not at all.
Would not be surprised whatsoever. Here's the thing, though, because and I get the fact that this is Bungie we're talking about, and Sony that we're talking about, but it's one of those where when Microsoft bought the companies that they've purchased, Bethesda specifically, in the discussion I'm going to talk about, they recently, within the last few months, laid a shit ton of people off, and everybody went straight at Microsoft's throat. This one, they're going after Bungie's. They're not going after Sony's. They're going after Bungie's.
And it's Sony. Like, they bought them. We're pretty damn confident. Feel confident. They bought them to absorb them.
Yes.
I mean, that's pretty unanimous. And we definitely called it when they first bought them too. It's like, okay, Bungie, you've been through everybody now. Now Sony's getting the leftovers and just
maybe the 155 that are moving to Sony are specifically the 155 that Sony wanted and had to buy the studio to get.
Well, what I feel it's doing, because it says they're forming a new studio, what I think they're going to be working on is the marathon game that they've been working on to start with. Those 155 people are most likely already working on the game.
You might be right.
They're moving with another studio and doing that. Where everybody else that's staying at Bungie is continuing to work on Destiny 2 and make sure the servers are up and running and all that. I'm not really sure. I think when Destiny 2 finally dies, when the numbers die down enough, it's gone. And Bungie's going with it. I don't think there's going to be another game out of Bungie. I'd be very surprised.
Yeah, I'd be surprised. But I know that the Destiny was all about Sony back in the day when it first came out.
But I don't understand why you don't. If you do move the 155 people over, I think ideally this is what you would have done. You would have said, okay, Marathon is going to stay with Bungie. We're going to move the 155 people over. We've never been able to create the Halo killer, as it used to be called back in the day. Halo killed itself, so,
Which is what Ollie thinks Destiny's doing. I didn't know if you saw his comment on it. That's funny.
I did not. But what I think's going to end up happening is, or what I would prefer them to do, is take the 155 people and create a really good first-person shooter, because Microsoft just bought Activision.
So Sony needs their own version of Call of Duty, is what you're saying?
They need something to direct compete. because they feel they need to, even though there's Microsoft in no foreseeable future is going to try to keep that from happening, keep from being on the console. But it does give them an option to be able to do that, because it's just they need a first person shooter, something that's gonna feel good, and no mechanics to this day have ever felt as good as Halo and Destiny. Destiny's got the same exact mechanics. So it's just got added
pretty.
bonus.
Ollie said,
Destiny's gorgeous.
That Destiny is like basically their big saga just came to an end, and they're not really announcing any sort of long term next saga yet. So I'm kind of wondering if, that may be the actual end.
Well, it was the end of, I guess, I don't know, what do you call it? The light cycle at this point. I mean, the whole thing was about light and dark. So light cycle, we'll call it. I don't know what you call it, but it was the end of that. And I think that it would, I'm sure that they have something in the works to create more for Destiny. It's just a matter of whether Sony's going to allow them to continue or not.
Yeah.
And from what I understand, this most recent ending was very successful, but the one before that, the DLC before that, was not as successul.
Yeah.
Wasn't it a re-release of the original deal, or the original raid from the?
They have them in it.
Yeah.
So what they did is, one of the things they said is the game had gotten so big that they had to remove certain stuff and add stuff back in, so they would rotate stuff in and out. They announced that a few years ago, so I'm assuming that's what happened with it. I mean, it's a possibility that it could have just been the same mechanic of a raid completely reskinned.
I guess so.
Okay.
Yeah, people are definitely upset about all those layoffs and everything.
Yeah. Well, like everybody saw it coming though. When Sony fully purchased Bungie, it really felt like it was kind of the end. Bungie was running out of options. They left Microsoft, tried to start on their own, did it for a little while, and it just got too much, and they couldn't make it profitable enough, and then just kind of went to the enemy. If you would have told me back when they released Halo way back in the day that they would have left Microsoft, went off on their own, died, and then got bought by Sony only to get finished off, it'd be like, wow, that's a tragic story for Bungie.
Well, and Oak mentioned that people are upset with the Bungie leadership and not necessarily Sony, but I think that that's because of some of the extravagant spending that's been taking place with some of the leadership.
It could have been because they sold the studio to start with.
I mean, that's probably part of it. It's, it is one of those things where I think that I would definitely be taking a look at both things to be upset about.
Yes. I mean, he spent, what was it,
$2.4 million on classic cars.
$2.4 million on cars.
The crazy part to me is one of them was, the guy was like, you invited me to come see your new cars 2 days before you laid me off. And like that's a quote from one of the former employees. And I don't have a problem with, I understand CEOs are going to make more money than anybody else that's in the company.
Right. They got more responsibility.
They get more responsibility, more headaches, everything. The buck is supposed to stop with them. I get that. But here's the thing. If you go, hey, I spent $90,000 on a car I drive around every single day to work, back and forth, people aren't really going to care. They're just going to be like, oh, well, great that you can afford that. But when you go, I have $2.4 million worth of cars that I'll never fucking drive because I'm a collector.
Yeah, that's where it starts getting like, that's not practical. You're just being weird about it.
Yeah, because you could spend, like one of the cars was $91,000 in an auction. That's not you going to the bank and getting a loan that you're going to make 7 years worth of payments on. That is straight up going $91,000 in pocket. Let me hand that out. Well, to me, that's an employee. That's just.
Well,
yeah.
According to the article, none of the higher ups took any sort of pay cuts, prior to layoffs or anything like that. So it was just like, oh, well, if it's because we can't afford them, fuck them.
I think the only game company I can remember that happening with where they actually took the pay cuts is Nintendo.
Yeah, I was gonna say Nintendo is the one
That
I
is the
would.
only
Yeah.
that is the only one that is always willing to make sacrifices to keep the company stable because like and that's again why Nintendo to this day still stands as strong as it does no matter what. Like the foundation of that company and the companies that support it are solid.
Mm-hmm.
Like from the ground up. You work at Nintendo, yeah, it might be an intense job, but you know they look out for you.
Because even when, if I remember correct, so Sony, those that have listened to the show for a long time and follow the news as long as we have, Sony was going bankrupt before the PlayStation 4 came out.
Yeah.
And the only thing that was saving Sony was the actual PlayStation 4, which was funny because originally the board didn't even want the PlayStation to start with. But the so that ended up saving them. But they did even take a pay cut from what I can remember. And they were losing, I think one quarter they lost $500 million or something. It was some ridiculous amount that they lost in one quarter. And they didn't even take a pay cut. But Nintendo does. You know, Nintendo's like, this is important to us. We want to make sure that the company stays. But I mean, you're also
Nintendo
dealing with the
CEO
oldest gaming company.
like took responsibility for the failure of the Wii and was like, "It's my fault." It like again, like Oak literally said, "The buck stops with me." The Nintendo CEO was like, "It's my fault."
Yeah.
So and like he took responsibility for it. He took the pay cut. He helped, revitalize the company, and boom, here comes the Switch. Boom, the company just skyrockets again. So this is why people will stand by Nintendo forever.
Yes.
Like again, if you have a PC, you've got a Nintendo. You got a PlayStation, you got a Nintendo. You got an Xbox, you got a Nintendo. Like,
You got a Nintendo, you got a Nintendo.
Yeah.
Exactly. If you got a Nintendo, you've got a different Nintendo. I've got a Switch and a GameCube and a 64. I mean, you got it all. It just is what it is.
Oh, good
Yep.
luck. Good luck to Destiny fans and to all of the employees that got laid off. I hope they get a new job soon.
Good luck. If they're skilled, they'll find another place to work. Maybe
You never
Blizzard's
know.
Double-A division.
Candy Crush could be looking for a new first-person shooter. So
I know, right?
So just keep shopping your resume around. I'm sure Blizzard will get back to you.
Oh yeah,
Or King.
sure.
Or
or
Go with
Activision, or I don't know, Phil Spencer. One of them. Somebody's gonna get back in touch with you.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Good
So you
lord.
don't like Sony? You're hired.
Damn. Well then.
I mean, even Phil Spencer owns a PS5. I'm just saying that now.
Phil Spencer owns everything. Hey, just because you own one of the consoles doesn't mean you have to like the company.
That's fair. That's fair. He doesn't like their practices, but he likes their games.
I mean, yeah, I like their games. I like their games on PC. I like their games on Steam. So speaking of Steam,
Nice.
I see what you did there, sir.
Steam has improved how the demos will appear and behave in your library now. Again, another small little kind of ghost update that they're doing for the store and whatnot, but it's pretty nice. They've made it so that you can, whenever you're searching through it, you can just kind of click it and it'll add to your library instantly. You can go back later and download it or however you want. They can also have their own store page too, so you get your own reviews. It'll link to the main page of the game. I think it's a pretty good change. I guess not a change, an upgrade. There we go. I think it's a good upgrade for demos and things like that because it kind of gives a place for the company who's making the game to have a place to watch the review of their game, their game, which isn't part of the main page. So they've got like separate analytics, separate reviews, things like that, so we can kind of see how people are enjoying it. And I assume that you can update it like via that store channel instead of it being through your main channel. So you can kind of separate it. I don't know. It might be easier on the back side for developers, but I'm not a developer. I've never opened a store page, so I don't entirely know how
You don't
all
say.
of the back end works on store Steam.
You need to make a
pages.
few phone calls there, sir. Google it. You're the Google king. You don't know how to do all that.
I'm sure I can almost guarantee you could go the back end of a store page on Steam, Reddit, and then somebody will be like, "Hey, I opened up a game on the Steam. This is how it works on the backside."
Probably.
The one thing that I do know The one thing I know for a fact is that your game gets pushed super hard based on wishlist. Wishlist is the main crux of store pages.
Well,
Like,
you're
you
welcome,
wishlist
everybody.
it.
I have
Which
like
is
200
why
games
Epic
on my wish.
was mining everybody's
Wish lists.
wish list. Makes
Yep.
sense.
The wish list, which is why they always say wish list it. Add it to the wish list because the wish list shows interest, and Steam looks at that to see how popular your game
And
is.
so does Epic.
Yes, Epic does too. Look at
You bunch
Steam.
of hotel writers.
Yeah.
Mr. Steam is such a good guy. He gives Epic Games information.
Which studio should we buy this week?
Let's find out who's popular.
Why are they got this weird game with crabs fighting or whatever it happens to be at the time?
Fighting. Crab game simulator.
Yeah. Too funny. Anything else?
I think that was it for the news. What
That's it for the news.
Woo!
What have I been playing? Nothing really.
7 Days to Die. Yes, you have.
I said
don't
that
want to
earlier.
hear it.
Oh, I have been hooked on 7 Days to Die. It finally got its 1.0 release. It's
Yes.
not a like triple A god tier game. It feels like
yeah.
a double A. It's solid though.
1A plus.
Yeah.
Stop.
I'm enjoying.
How would we call it a double? It's 1A plus.
Yeah, it's
when
a
your pine cones are painted onto
They're
your
terrain
ground.
paint, okay?
terrain paint. But it's a solid survival crafting zombie game. Oak, when your group is looking for the next one, that's it right there. Grab it up on sale. I think you already own it too.
I already own it.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
his whole group probably owns it.
The game
Yeah.
was like $5 at some points.
It was like $5. Now it's like $50,
now.
and I'm like,
Yeah.
glad I bought it when I did.
Yeah,
Mhm.
like that's why when it was like, oh yeah, it's gonna go up the price. I was like, everybody buy it now. You're not spending $50 on this game. You are not. Buy it cheap now. But yeah, it's a fun game. It's a survival crafting style game. It's like a mix of Minecraft and Project Zomboid with a little like yeah. So it's like a 3D version of Project Zomboid, and we love the shit out of Project Zomboid too.
Yeah, we do.
There's a lot of intricate mechanics in the backside too, how you do skills and how everything works. You have death protection up to level 6, so every time you die, you don't lose anything.
Which, thank Jeebus, because early on, Kat would be like, oh, look, I made a new spike trap, and people would be like, where? And turn around, and they're instantly impaled on it and die. It's like, Kat, stop putting them right behind people.
The range for the goddamn spike traps is too damn high. She'd be like, leave them out there, and I would go to run past it and just get impaled immediately. It's like, oh my god.
It was really funny. Like, most of our early deaths were because of Kat and her spike traps.
Yes.
Oh. She's chaos. It's fun.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wait, cat killed people?
I
Weird.
know,
Oh
right?
yes. All the time.
It has
Weird.
been a lot of fun. I'm doing farming and cooking, and it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, I'm having fun killing zombies, but I need to go home and make some more bacon and eggs, you guys. Bye.
Yes. But yeah, I've died a lot early, but after level 6, you don't get that grace period anymore. You when you die, you get a red or your XP bar turns red, and that is your XP deficit. You have to grind out XP to get rid of your deficit before you can start earning levels again. So it's risky. Right now, it's like, oh yeah, food and water is scarce. We're trying to survive. If I'm low on health, and if I'm damaged, whatever, I just run into spikes and die to reset. After level 6, you don't get that option anymore. You have to eat properly, make sure you don't take too much damage. I'm a medic, so I can, repair legs, because you could fall. If you fall, you break a leg, or you sprain it, or you get an abrasion, or you could bleed. Like,
So if you're trying to play this by yourself, you're fucked, is what I'm getting out
you
of this.
can, like with Zomboid, you can change a lot of the modifiers and things like that. So if
yeah.
you want it to be easier, you definitely can make it so. And I mean, you can do that for the server settings too. It's,
and you can change the
vanilla,
settings.
It's like that.
You could change them every time you start the game too. If you're like, oh, I want more XP, doot doot. I want less enemies, doot doot. I want enemies to be harder, doot doot. Less enemies, things like that. But like the core mechanics of it, because there's like there's a heat system. Basically, it's how active.
Activity system.
Yeah, it's an activity system. How active your little base is, it kind of draws zombies to you, and they'll just kind of roam around where you're at. And if they see you, they'll scream and spawn more or summon hordes.
Some of them
and
are
then
real
you-
jerks.
Yeah, so you gotta always kind of be aware of what's happening that way. What was the other thing I was gonna say?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, traversal system. You get bikes, motorcycles, things like that. That's fun. I got a bike as a reward, so you get to pedal around on your bike.
I didn't
which
have
is so
the
much
option. We
faster.
did like you can do quests as groups, and you go and turn it in at the same time, so that somebody like one person will take the next one, and then your whole group will go over and do it. But your turn-in rewards are not standardized. So like
Yeah.
he got the option for one of his rewards to be a bike, and I did not. And then like 2 quests later, I think Baka got the option to get a bike. And I'm over here like, my quest rewards were like gunpowder flares or, you know, some cake. I took the cake, which is delicious, but I can't ride it. So, thanks. Also, the trader guy is a jerkbag, and I just want to punch him in his stupid face.
Yes. And that's also a really neat part too. Like all over the areas, there are trader posts. They're open between 4 a.m. and
let's be
11.
real. It was like 4:10. Okay.
Okay, it was
He didn't open at 4
4:05
o'clock.
technically, but you basically go to them. You pick up a clear mission, an escort mission, a dig up mission, because like I said, it's like Minecraft, so you can actually dig into the ground and you've got to find treasures and whatnot. And then you take it back to them. It's a bunch of like fetch quests, clear quests, things like that. That's how you get XP, materials.
Was there
things
actually
like that.
a pile of dirt there, or did they just paint the dirt on?
No, it's
It's just
actually
the
just the
ground.
regular ground, and you have to use the shovel and like dig down. It gives you this little radius, and as you go further down, you can it shrinks the circle. But the problem is, if you do it alone, don't be dumb. You have to dig your way out, because every time you dig so far, it'll shrink the circle to kind of let you know where it's at. Every time it shrinks the circle, it spawns zombies around you, and you do not want to get trapped in a pit and zombies fall on you. So make sure when you're digging down, you dig at an angle so that you can get back out when you hear it go ding, because it gives you a little audio cue that the circle shrunk, and get out, kill the zombies, then go back.
That's going to be
digging.
fun to play with old man who can't hear anything.
Well, it shows the circle visually.
Yeah,
getting
it shows the
smaller, too,
circle
so you'll get
getting
double.
smaller too.
Yeah.
So you can see it or hear it.
And I
So,
imagine if he has the subtitles turned on, it has that listed as one of the audio subtitles as well.
Maybe
Yeah.
sometimes they don't. When you have
Yeah,
the
I'll have to
subtitles
check
turned
that.
on, they
I
won't
really
give you
want-
those cues when you should have it.
I feel like
It's annoying.
Yeah, that is annoying.
Like on Icarus, there's like the bear or whatever. We can hear him in the background, or the wolves, and he necessarily can't. And it does not it doesn't pull it up on the
Oh,
screen.
damn.
Hmm. That sucks.
Mm-mm.
I
That
feel
does
like that
suck.
should be part of the audio cues.
yes,
Mhm.
it does.
Whatever.
Yep.
But yeah, we've been doing a lot of that.
Yeah, we've been enjoying it. It's fun. It's not super complicated, and it's not like really hard to learn. It's basic and but it's good gameplay. It's fun gameplay, and you can build your own places too. But usually you'll just pick a house or somewhere, and you'll just kind of live out of it. You can repair it, build a base around it, build some supports, but the main mechanic of the game, which you can adjust, you can turn it off entirely, is that every 7 days, or however you change the settings, a horde will attack your house.
Mm.
It is crazy GPS zombies. Doesn't matter where you're at. They will find you.
Yeah.
You can get up on a roof and they will tear your house down. So you have to be ready on Blood Moon Night. Always have to be ready. It's not too bad early game, but when you get to the much later part of the game, they turn feral, and there are dozens and dozens of them that will rush you constantly. So you have to be ready.
Yeah, I've seen friends of mine have streamed them and stuff before, and I love like looking at the basically the tower defense setup that each one of them have for this stuff that's happening, and how they've built it over time. And I'm like, what are you doing? And so that's what they're working for all the time.
Yeah,
Um,
the horde base is the most important part because if not,
That's
they will just come into your house and just annihilate everything. So you want the horde part to be away from your house.
Also, think about the fact that they're saying once a week, all of these are just going to come at you.
once a week
You
they get
like
really upset.
it's because it's a blood moon. You can change the variation to blood moon. You can turn it on random so that
Oh
it will
no.
just like
Uh-uh.
it'll be
That'd
No.
be absolutely fucking not right there.
it'll be you're playing through your week and you just finished one and 2 days later it's like, oh yeah, there's a little red in the sky, you better get oh it just had one, well now, and then finish that one, and then a week later it pops up, and then 2 days later, and then 3 days later, and you're just getting onslaughted, and it's like, okay.
No.
I think I would set it up like when I think of a full moon and do like once a month, basically every 28 days or something.
Every 28 days.
Yeah.
uh I mean, that could work too. It goes off of your game stage, which is how far you've advanced in the game, is how hard the horde is. So, like I said, a lot of back end systems to this game.
Yeah.
So you're trying to say King.com can't make this one? Is that what you're trying to say?
No, the basic gameplay, yeah, killing zombies they could probably handle. Building the systems behind it, no, they they couldn't.
I
Do
bet
that
their
one.
ground wouldn't be like a painted on pine cone, but
No,
yeah,
it would just be
definitely
like bright
painted
pink.
pine cone. Yeah.
They might could handle. We've also been playing as our group game. It's Lethal Company right now. We've been playing a lot of that. Maybe they could do that. That seems like,
Yes.
They
could absolutely
murder the
do
people
that.
when they walk in a building. I think that's doable for them.
the Lethal Company is actually, I mean, it's got some complicated parts, but it's not a very complicated game.
Right.
Yes, 100%.
Yes.
It's
But it is
got
a lot of fun.
it is a lot of fun. It is a
Yeah,
lot of,
yeah,
especially with big groups.
It's a lot of fun until one of your random teammates is like, "Hey, by the way, I'm going to put you on this freaking planet that you can't see because of all the fog." And then I'm like, "Oh, okay," and start walking and fall into water. Which, by the way, for those who've never played the game, you can't swim in this game.
Yeah, you're a little spaceman, but just like
Don't
Master
worry.
Chief can't swim, neither can you.
Baka's done the same thing.
Yeah.
I remember watching his ass go, "Hey, I think it's over here." It was one of the ones where you have to go. There's a lake in front of it, and you got to go around. And he pinged it, and it was right in front of him. And he walked straight to it and slid down the hill. And he's like, "Oh,
And
don't follow me. There's a hill." As he slipped into the water, he's like, "I'm trying." And I look down, and he's just floating down there. It's like, oh well.
And then you have
Rip.
the
why you need
fox
a
that tries to
teleporter.
eat our face.
I hate that thing. I hate it so much. Like your ship's starting to land and you see the little red bushes and just instantly it's like, I don't want this anymore. This is dumb.
Well,
planet.
and see, I didn't know that the whole weed killer / red bush was a thing because I hadn't seen anybody do it yet. And then Chicken goes out and he sprays a little red bush, and I asked you about it, and you explained the whole thing. There's a little red bush, blah blah blah. It'll push the fox back, and I'm like, okay, cool. The very next planet was when we landed, and Chicken goes off the opposite side of the boat and goes to wherever he needed to go. Everybody else is trying to spray the red bush we basically landed on, and the fox is sitting there, and everybody gets killed. I'm sitting on the ship. I'm like, I just kept hitting the close button, waited for him to come back, and he goes, "Is everybody else dead?" And I was like, "Yep." And he was like, "Okay." And I was like, "Whoop," and we were gone because I was like, I can't die because if he died coming back, we're screwed because
yeah,
we
'cause
had
you lose everything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Was that our $2,000 game?
Mm-hmm.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah, definitely. Nobody. There is one person always on the ship, no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
Because that is just far too much to risk losing.
Oak's Power was out this weekend, which made me sad because he couldn't play with us. But I am really sad that he missed the most panic moment I think we've ever seen. We didn't have many choices. Like every planet was stormy or eclipsed or whatever, and so I was like, we'll go to the eclipsed experimentation one because it's like your starter map and whatever. We'll go there. And so the ship is landing and the doors open before the ship lands proper. So we're kind of like checking it out. And as the ship lands in the red bushes, of course, there's one of those the big mouth dogs. And it was just standing there and it looks up at us and is like, woof, woof. And everybody panics and Cat jumps off the side of the ship where the fox is not. because, you know, she's watched Chicken enough to know that that's what you should be doing. The big dog immediately grabs Chicken off the ship, like, is just destroying him at the very back. And then Sentry and Red are in panic mode. Like, oh my god, what do we do? What do we do? And I'm just watching, like, I couldn't, it was a train wreck. I'm just watching it happen. Because Chicken's being destroyed, Cat's already run off. And Sentry and Red are literally running back and forth in front of each other, panicking on what to do. Going, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? We can't do anything right now. We can't. And Kyle turns around, or Red turns around and goes, nope! And then sends us back into space. And Cat's like, you left me.
Yeah. That was the one where I was like, okay, because I opened it up and there was a dog. Closed it right away, and I was like, okay. And I'm like, we need to make a run for it. We got to try to get something. So I grab a walkie-talkie and everything, and I'm like, all right, here we go. And I open it up and die instantly.
Yeah, the dog just...
I'm like, here I go, open, dead. Like, I didn't even get to move off of the ship because I was going to run right by it. No, it was like...
Oh, you got credit for your body being on the ship.
Yeah, like, I couldn't move at all. I just died instantly. I was so mad.
Like, it was... The game is so brutal at times, and you're just like, why? Why are you this way? What is happening? You know?
It's so good,
like,
though.
It
right?
is. It is a lot of fun.
Unless your friend Red picks up a freaking hive at the very beginning and throws it in the back of the ship and hides it from everybody to kill you with the bees.
The chaos that you get, especially with, like, I know the game is base 4 players, and we have a mod that lets us have up to 32, but we don't know 32 people. But we could if we did. So we can play with a larger group, and I feel like that game is much more fun in the chaotic state of having, like, so many people in there.
Oh, it is 100% more fun that way.
So good. Double the lobby size, just do it.
100% more. I feel fearful when there's like 4 of us on a boat, right?
Yeah.
But when they're like, oh, we got 8. I don't feel
then it really
fearful.
is panic. I do. I feel worse. I'm like, what's about to happen because somebody, like, no.
Because I feel like when there's 8 of us, like, we go out and it's like somebody's gonna die. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, everybody feels more bold about it because there's so many of us. But that's the problem.
But I still don't
understand.
I don't understand the mentality of, all right, guys, let's leave the ship. We have 92 shovels on the boat. Not one of us are going to take one. I don't understand why that is a thing.
Yeah.
It drives me insane.
Everybody's like, I only have 4 inventory spots. I don't want a shovel to take it up. Okay, well, what are you going to do about all the enemies then? Good luck out there.
It does make, there is a mod, though. It does make me want to download for everybody, which is where everybody has a task that they have to accomplish to get extra to get more money.
Make it like Among Us.
Yeah, it's similar to Among Us, basically. And so you go in, and I guess you would have some type of task, whether it's like, I don't know, kill one of the loot bugs or something like that. I don't know. But it's like, it would be hilarious. What if one of them was like, fall down a hole?
Fall down a hole.
You know,
guys.
Well, that was one of the things, too, because last week when we were playing, because I didn't get to play this week because of the stupid storm, but last week when we were playing, it was Snitty and I, and we were like, okay. He goes, why don't you go over, like, hop over this hole? Because for those that haven't played the game, there's going to be a beam you have to jump over, and then you have to jump to the other side. So there's a hole that's in between. Or you start with the hole to jump to the beam, and then you jump over the rail. Well, I made it over the hole and made it to the rail and couldn't get over the rail. I nailed the side of the rail and fell to the bottom. And as I fell, I turned and said, oh no, and looked, and Snitty was gone. He's the one that told me to do the jump. Everything else left. The next thing it does is send me to where Grif is at, and I hear her say, that's weird. Oak's not moving.
Well, and then the ship, you don't know.
And later on, you know, it's sitting there talking and like, is Oak dead? Did Oak die? Whatever. And Snitty's like, I don't know.
Oh no, Oak just froze. Okay,
there it goes. Woo.
What that was.
Yeah, that's
but he's like, Oak, he was like, I don't know what happened to Oak. I couldn't tell.
Yeah, never trust Snitty to know what happened to you, even if he told you to do a thing. He's not looking. He's not. I love him, but he is also chaos. Like,
oh my god,
put him and Cat in games together and just bad things are gonna happen because
that's what you call perpetual energy. They just like spin around. in pure absolute chaos.
And it
It's like a
just
void.
destroys everybody else. So no, Snitty had no idea what happened to you.
No, I was like, dude, really? You're literally the one that told me to jump over the hole. And then Baka ended up in the bottom of the hole with me. I don't know why, but he ended up in the bottom of the hole with me too. So not one thing, it's another.
Yeah, it's fun though. I wouldn't change our friends group at all, even if it is, terrible as a team comp kind of thing.
No, but I mean, to be fair, we've done really well in Lethal Company. And I like the fact that there's like, if you have a smaller group, you're like, nope, not running those rounds. Only the large group gets to run these particular rounds because we've gotten to that point because I don't want to lose all the money.
Well, because there's like, the whole group, the 8 people run, we have like the teleporter and the inverse teleporter and a bunch of other stuff. And then in the one we were playing this weekend, Oak, I'm sure you saw the pictures in the Discord, but now we have a shower and a toilet on the ship so that you can
I saw that.
watch people take a shower from the toilet.
Also, props to whoever it was that decided to put the whoopee cushions on top of the toilet so you could walk on top of those. Was that you?
That would be me right here. I was like, oh, we got a toilet? Let's put the whoopee cushions on there. Because you got to make fart noises every time you sit down.
Cat was dying at one of the planets because we landed and the fox was around. And, the enemies will clip through the ships. So they may not be able to see that you're in the ship necessarily, but they clip through it. You can see them. And the fox was running back and forth under that toilet with the whoopee cushions, just constantly setting the whoopee cushions off with its head.
Oh, that's funny.
And Cat was just dying watching this happen. But yeah,
he was just trying to get a drink out of the toilet.
He's trying to get her.
Hey,
probably,
that's 7 days to die where you get some murky water out of the toilet.
I didn't know you couldn't drink that. I was fine, and then everybody else got dysentery. I'm sorry.
You didn't know you couldn't drink toilet water?
It wasn't toilet water. It was swimming pool.
Okay.
We were all dying of thirst.
Yeah, if you drink pool water or old pool water, it can give you dysentery.
It didn't give me dysentery, and I thought it was okay, so I told everybody to come and get something to drink.
So you were the lucky one playing the Oregon Trail right then, is when I got out of that.
And
Everybody
then Baka
else
and Red
died.
immediately come over there. Baka actually died while drinking it because it's dirty water. It does hurt you sometimes to just drink it, and he was low enough health that he took 2 scoops and died. And then Red got dysentery. And I was like, I'm fine. I don't know what you guys are doing. I didn't know it was a chance.
That 5% chance of not getting sick, and you got it.
Well, I have also put a point or 2 into the gut health one where you are less likely to get that, and I didn't think about it. I just thought it was safe. It was not. It was not.
My bad. You died. I'm sorry. Usually we're just shooting each other with arrows. Hey, does this hurt?
Yes, there is friendly fire in that game. There's also friendly fire in Lethal Company. Ask Cat. She knows because she murdered me with the shovel.
That happens.
So.
Yep. Especially when you're trying to attack bugs and stuff.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not upset at all about that.
Yeah. For some reason, I've yet to figure this out with our group. If there's a bug, we try to run away with it. For some reason, the person without the freaking shovel is the one that runs in front of the bug as you're trying to hit the bug.
It's a difficulty modifier with the group,
Sometimes you just got to take that person out and then focus on the bug. Get out of my way. If you don't get out of my way, I'm going to make you get out of my way.
Ding, ding, ding. Okay. Oh, man. Anything else?
I don't think so.
We've been talking about games, and we could probably go for quite a long time.
Probably.
We're just entertaining ourselves now.
Exactly. We do appreciate everybody that hangs out with us every other week at Infinite Respawn. You make sure that you hit that little sub button, the little bell button, so that way you get the notification when this one goes live, and the next one goes live, and the next one goes live, and the next one goes live. Also, make sure you go to twitch.tv/EliteChicken313 as we get closer to the fall. Chicken's going to be able to go live, and that means you need to be following him so that way you can make sure that you see him live. Also, make sure you go to twitch.tv/MDBOaktree as well. For Infinite Respawn, I'm Oaktree.
I'm Grif.
I'm Chicken.
And Baka's at the Circus. Bye.
Bye.
try again.